Tonight is February the 19th. This is Management 3025. Welcome to class. Mr. Kinsey, I'm glad you're here. We can now begin the class. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
Appreciate your participation. Always fun to poke fun at people. If I don't poke fun at you, you're in trouble. So, anything in the nature of administrative issues, general concerns, feedback that anyone would like to discuss?
I missed the last time for taking the personality test.
Yes, on the DISC personality test, you have two options, and I say this to the camera as well. You can stop by my office sometime and pick one up. If you let me know you're coming, I'll have it waiting with my secretary. Unit aid leaves at 3:30 in the afternoon, so you'd have to do that in the morning, during midday, between 9 and 3, give or take. The other option is to send me a self-addressed 9x12 envelope, stamped, self-addressed, folded up, put it in another envelope, and mail it to me. And I'll stuff the stuff in there and put it in the mail, and it'll come back to you. That's your second option. If you do the DISC personality because you weren't here in class, I will have a direction sheet attached to it. Follow those carefully. And for everyone, once you finish the DISC personality, there is a DISC summary document on Canvas that I want you to fill out. It shows your 3 graphs. And you can move the plots so you can make the graphs resemble your own. You record your scores. And I want you to send those in to us so we have a DISC plot on each of you. That's on Canvas. Please do that as soon as you can. The other thing is there's another document on Canvas called the DISC personality that my wife and I wrote that I think would help you if you read that as well as the stuff in the booklet. Because even beginning tonight, perhaps in some of our discussions, I'm going to refer to the DISC personality styles as though you've already been familiar with them. So it's going to be important for the rest of the term to be able to speak that particular language. Okay? Other questions?
So this is the one question that I asked before everybody got here, but Demonstrated Competency 1, has everyone in this classroom that's here tonight submitted their Demonstrated Competency 1?
I see from one appearance, maybe not, but most everybody else turned them in.
Okay, so make sure if you have not, and you're still required to submit it, so make sure you submit it as soon as possible. Some of you were missing certain parts of the Demonstrated Competency 1, and I emailed you individually, so make sure you get that to me as well.
Let's reiterate, all the assignments in this course, all the writing assignments, all the competencies, must be submitted to pass the course. If they're submitted late, they come in at half credit. Don't let that happen very often. But they must be submitted, preferably in a timely fashion. I've had a couple of 3-4 students come in with some writing difficulties and suggested they go to the writing lab and have the writing lab help you proofread your work, and then from that draft or whatever, clean it up. Get it cleaned up good before you submit it, which means finish it a week early, take it to the writing lab and get it spiffed up, and then submit it on time. Okay? And at one point, I counted 92 people enrolled in the course and only 54 submissions of work.
I think we're up to 58.
Are we up to 58 now? Okay, so some of them are trickling in. And some, I sent an email to everybody and said, if you're not in this course, tell me so we can take you off the roster. I've only heard from 2 or 3 people about that. Yes, ma'am?
I got an email from you about, and I emailed you back about that I sent it through USB. I don't know if you got it, but I can make a YouTube if that would be easier for you.
Did you bring it to class?
Yes, last class. Yeah.
And you gave it to Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's in a baggie and it has my name on it.
Okay.
Good. I would urge you, why do we make you do a video? Mostly because we love to sit around, have a beer or two, and laugh about it. That's a big thing. The fact is, it's a whole lot more efficient for employers to screen folks through those video submissions than it is to drag you in one at a time and talk to you. I'm on a search committee right now, and I've got to look at about 25 applications tomorrow morning. And yeah, I'm going to clean out a bunch of them, but if I get down to 6 or 7 people, I'd love to have a video to be able to look at them real quick and say, what's this person sound like? What's this person look like? So I think you should get used to making a video of yourself in whatever regard. certainly for job search, but also just in terms of networking. Dear Mr. Jones, it was a real pleasure to meet you. I know we only had a moment to chat. I have a video on YouTube that tells you a little bit more about who I am. Please feel free to visit it. If he does, that's like putting bait in the water, man. Bingo, you got the fish. So a good quality video. I know Ms. Gunn has pointed out on a few of them, the pictures came up sideways, or the audio wasn't even audible. So you've got to learn the technical part of how do I clean that up and make it look good. But think of that as one more very viable method of expression. As your supervisor, I might well tell you, I need to know about so-and-so. I don't like to read. Make me a 5-minute video and brief me that way, and I'll read it while I'm on the air, or watch it while I'm on the airplane. Be ready to do that. Okay? And you got another video coming down the road anyway. Might as well get it right. If I get my way, you'll be doing them in all your classes.
Wow.
Thanks.
Thanks.
I'm pushing it. Other comments, questions? About up here to complaints. I don't want to hear more of that. Anything else? Anything else?
I was going to say, it's a lot easier to do the video when, like, I had somebody hold up the, I actually got pretty good video on my iPhone, and I had somebody just sit at a table and hold it for me.
Mm-hmm.
It was much easier to speak with an audience, so to speak, rather than just speaking into a camera, because it's very, very weird to just picture somebody in the camera listening to you, rather than somebody actually sitting there and listening to you. But I remember I had to have my hand out in front of me to slow myself down, because if when I wrote the speech, I ended up timing myself much faster than I actually ended up doing it, because I wrote, like, in the speech in my hand, I was like, slow down.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and we could also tell from some of the videos, some of you definitely wrote it in advance and was reading, or we can see that you were reading. So make sure, that you know your material before you get on video. Be comfortable with talking, get comfortable with talking in front of an audience. Review the video before you submit it, because a lot of the videos, like I said, was either, no sound, or the orientation was off. So definitely review the video before you submit it, but just learn to get comfortable. It's going to help you with your public speaking skills.
Yeah. You don't want to ever read. This is like a sales presentation. You don't want to read it. You don't want to appear to have memorized it, wrote. You want to deliver it as naturally as possible. One basic rule in presentations is you cannot possibly speak too slowly. Okay? If you can remember that, if you have the habit of going and then get your buddy to get him a handful of marbles and a tin trash can. And every time you go he drops a marble. 2 sessions of that, and that will disappear from your delivery. It works. Look into the camera when you're talking, because the person who's watching you is looking to make eye contact with you as well. And I didn't see all the videos, but some of the videos I saw were just first rate, really well done. So if you're uncomfortable with it, practice. It's like everything else. Practice, watch it yourself, learn humility, and do it again.
Last semester, I took the professional writing class, and we had to do audios several times in that class. And the only thing I ever got dinged for was I sounded like I was reading. Well, I was, because it was a writing class. but having gone through that experience, not that I think my video was awesomely great or anything, but I did not write anything for the video, because I didn't want to come across that way at all.
And we want to learn to deliver naturally without any reference to something, maybe a quick headline or something. Just as we want to be able to, in the midst of a delivery in a business setting, be able to be interrupted and respond to questions and think on our feet, and then go back and get it on track and continue. And that there is no way to learn that I know of other than practice. Takes you out of your comfort zone, as one student reported. Yeah. All right, what else?
How long in allotted time is the exam next week?
I don't know, maybe like 20 minutes, 30 minutes?
No, we did not say that.
The exam, as we're looking at it and crafting it right now, because it's not the one we've used in the past, it's got 40 multiple choice questions. It's got 2 to 4 questions out of the Caproni book, and it's got 2 to 4 questions on the financial calculations, which we'll look at tonight. My guesstimate is the exam starts at what time? 5:30? Okay. I would say you should be out of here by 8, 2.5 hours. Let me speak to that exam just for a moment more to emphasize a point. And I may be preaching to the choir since you're here right now, but you had approximately 200 multiple choice questions to find the answers to. You've had 8 weeks to do it. We're going to pull only 40 of them out. You must make a C on every part of this exam, the financial part, the Caproni part, the Kinnicky part. I don't understand how you can have 200 questions for 8 weeks and not be able to, out of a random choice of 40, not be able to get 35 of them right. If you were working for me, I were your manager, and you couldn't maintain that standard, you're not the caliber of employee I'm looking for. I expect attention to detail, focus, discipline, and results. Okay? Oh, I got quiet. Did I say something wrong? Anything else? The Caproni questions are on Canvas, and you will see them on the exam almost verbatim.
Do you care if we use a pencil or a pen?
You'll need a Scantron answer sheet and a pencil, and then for the written discussion and the math, the calculations, a pen, please, and some notebook paper. Bring some notebook paper. Blank notebook paper.
Which Scantron do we use right now?
The full size 8.5 by 11 sold in the bookstore and over at the library. And if there's anyone enterprising in this course, they will show up that night with additional Scantrons, which cannot be sold or bought.
Wish I
For
brought
less
more
than $1.
for your micro exam, because there were like 15 people outside the door waiting that were all wanting to.
To buy a Scantron.
Yeah, and most of them.
Opportunity knocking, right? You could have taken me out for a beer after class after that.
Does anybody happen to know if they have those at the UF bookstore?
I don't know. They sell some at the used bookstore over here, but they're the wrong ones. They do have them at UF?
No, I said they should.
They should, okay.
The Scantrons?
Mhm.
They're at the Santa Fe bookstore.
And
Yeah.
then-
But
Oh,
if you
okay.
work.
She works at
Sometimes
UF.
you can't get
I
here.
know.
Yeah, but the library, if the library has them, then you might be.
The coffee shop, is it,
Oh,
where is it at
it's
the
on-
library? It's on-
It's the coffee.
Coffee 101 Avenue.
You like me on my tongue?
The coffee shop?
Bye.
Man, that's smart.
All right, anything else?
On the Caproni questions, do you expect them to be verbatim, or do you want us to put in our own words?
In your own words. I don't think we're gonna be asking for citation and, verbatim, what did the book say, but your general appreciation and commentary on it. There may be some terms that she has used that you wanna be ready to use.
Did I understand that the answers to those are supposed to involve brevity or not?
They are supposed to reflect the fact that you understand the material at considerable depth and breadth.
Okay.
What does that mean?
As much as you need to be able to say the answer.
It means that brevity would probably be to your disadvantage. You bring in everything you can related to that.
Okay.
If they talk about, what color is green, you discuss what is blue and yellow and how they relate to it. Okay? Anything else? It's like fishing. If you wait a few more minutes, one of those floats goes under you. Then I think we're going to go from here into calculations on the financial calculator. And interrupt me at any time while we're doing this. And we'll work through a number of problems tonight. That'll be pretty much it. If you have any other issues, concerns, anything, please feel free to write any of the three of us. And we'll weigh in on whatever we need to do or whatever you might be needing. Okay? Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, the use of the financial calculator. Point 1, everything I'm going to say is already on video. Point 2, there are 2 sets of sample problems with answers on Canvas.
Okay.
If you've done all of that and you understand it, everything I'm going to do here is going to be, hopefully, boring and repetitious. If you've not really gotten into that well enough yet, stop me at any time with what I'm doing and let's clarify. Okay? It's called the time value of money. If I gave you a choice, I'll give you $1,000 today or I'll give you $1,000 at the end of the year. Which would you prefer?
Today.
Why today?
And I think you have access to it.
And
You might not be here at the end of the year.
Yeah.
I will be. Do you know
can
something
turn
I
that
don't?
money into more
The,
by the
it's
time-
it's worth it, the value is greater now than it will
Why?
be in the future.
Because the cost of,
Because you can invest it somewhere and make some interest on it so that you'd have more money at the end of the year. That's the time value of money. It's worth more now than it is later if it's the same sum. What we're looking at is a couple of different ways to say it. If I gave you $1,000 today, what would it be worth at the end of the year? It would depend on the interest rate you could earn wherever you put it. But we can turn that problem around and say, if I gave you $1,000 at the end of the year, what is the value of that money today? In other words, how much money would you have to have today that you could invest and have $1,000 at the end of the year? So present value today, future value in December. And with the same concept, I can ask you about the present value, how much is it worth, or the future value, how much will it be worth? Let's see how that works. If I told you today I'll give you $1,000, then in our calculator we're going to enter that as present value. More on how to use the calculator in a moment, just concept for a minute. We would then ask, what kind of interest rate could you earn on that money? And we'll make those up. For grins, we're going to call it 6%. And then we'd say, how many time periods will you have that money? How many compounding periods? Assuming this just compounds once a year, then you'll just end as one, right? You're going to have 1 year. But if it compounded quarterly, every 3 months they calculate your interest, then you would have 4 ends. But you wouldn't get 6% every quarter, you'd get 1/4 of 6%. You'd get 1.5% for your interest rate. We'll see that in a minute. So we'll say for 1 year, and then we're going to say calculate the future value. So the apostrophe up here means calculate future value. And that's kind of the way we're going to play this game. So, entering the data into the calculator. 2 big warnings. 1, if you have your calculator in front of you, at the upper left-hand side of the calculator, on the second row, there's a yellow button called Second. 2NV, Second. And what happens is if you push that button, you push another one, it does the secondary function for that button, which is whatever's written, you know, on a given button down here it says N, and above it it says some little tiny P times Y something, whatever. Second makes you do the stuff on the top. We're not using second too much. We're using it for one big reason. Every calculation, before you start putting anything in your calculator, I want you to press second, and then, let me find the right place, at the future value button over here. Above that it says CLRTVM. That means clear the time value of money registers in the calculator. Whatever was in them, wipe it out, because we're going to be putting new data in. So before every calculation, second, clear TVM. If you don't do that and you have old data left in there, your answer will be garbage. So get in a habit. As soon as you turn it on, you say, well, I'm going to be doing some stuff here in a minute. Second, clear TVM. Now I'm ready to operate. That's warning number 1. Always clear the registers. Warning number 2. When you're talking about present value and future value, this calculator wants you to make one of those numbers, not both, but one of them a negative number. Now, you can make the 1,000 negative when you put it in, and it'll give you a positive answer. But if you leave it as a positive number, it will give you a negative answer. Don't sweat the negative sign, just know that it's there. Know you've got to do that. Okay? Now, in this case, we can try it this way. How do we put this in? Clear the registers. I'm going to put 1,000. And then on the bottom, not by the big button, but right next to it, there is a plus or minus button. That just changes the sign on my number. So I put in 1,000. I'm going to hit change sign so it has a negative in front of it. Then I'm going to press PV for present value. And it should display PV equals negative 1,000. And if you're running with 2 decimal places, that's cool. I run with 4. If you want to change the number of decimal places, we'll do that here in a little while. Second thing I'm going to do, IY is 6%, the interest rate applicable. Just press 6 and the IY button. The whole number, it treats that as the percentage. In this case, for N, I'm going to press 1 and press N, 1, N. So I've put in this value, and this value. I want it to calculate the future value, so I go to the very top hand left button up here, which says CPT, which means compute. I'm going to say compute future value, and it'll display your answer.
Quick question. Will the question always give us the interest in per year, and then we calculate that compoundly given how many?
Yeah, many times it'll say at an annual rate of this, but compounded monthly, or compounded quarterly, or whatever.
So it'll say in the question interest or IY?
Yeah, probably interest. Yeah. Okay, everybody get 1,060? That's good news, okay? Pretty simple. All of it's simple once you learn it, But let's take this calculation and just twist it a little bit. Suppose we are told you get $1,000. Your interest rate is 6%, but your interest is going to be compounded quarterly. Every 3 months. Quarterly, 4 times a year. You're going to have it for 1 year. So how many times will your interest compound? 4 times. So N is the number of years, in this case 1, times 4 times per year. Don't start entering anything yet, just follow the calculations. Also, when they calculate your interest at the end of 1 quarter, 90 days, you don't get 6% for 90 days, you get 6% for the whole year. So for 90 days, you get 6% divided by 4, 1/4 of it. So your IY is going to be 1.5. So what would the future value be now, and what's the first thing you're going to do? Clear a TVM. Okay, so clear TVM and put in the data. Anybody?
What answer?
Yeah.
It'll be $15 every 3 months.
No, you're not compounding it. It'll be $15 the first time.
Right.
But the next time it'll be 1.5 times 1,015.
Right.
Anybody get an answer?
The final answer?
Yeah.
6136.
161.36. I'm pretty sure. I lost it, but yeah. 1061.36. And if you rounded to 37, oh, okay, no big deal, right? Everybody okay with 1,061.36? Okay, let's go back and figure out what we're going to do. Step 1, clear the TVM. Step 2, put 1,000 on your display. Go down to the bottom and change it to a negative number. And then press PV, present value. Step 2, for IY, we already know it's 6 divided by 4, 1.5, so put in 1.5, 1.5, press IY. For N, it's going to compound 4 times over the year, only 1 year, so 4, press N, and then press compute future value. Okay? Has anyone yet experienced error 5? Error 5 will come up if you're calculating one of these two, the interest or the time. You can calculate, you get any three of these, it'll calculate the fourth one. But if you put in this, and you make them both positive numbers or both negative numbers, it will say error 5. One's positive, one's negative. You've got to remember that. Ask me how I know. I've done it 1,000 times. I'm not thinking about it. So if you see error 5, it's just the way you put the data in. Go back and do it again. How we doing? Everybody tracking with me okay?
Professor Strickland, you did 6 divided by 4 because there's 4 quarters in a year.
That is correct.
And then when you did the interest, you multiplied it by 4 again because there's 4 quarters in a year.
Exactly right.
So if we did n, let's say,
I'm going to change it and do it a little bit more complicated. You're right on track. Let's take another different problem altogether. Daddy gave me $6,000. I can put it in the bank making 4.5%. I'm going to leave it in there for 7 years, and it's going to compound semi-annually. How much money will I have at the end of my 7 years? How do I do that?
Multiply 7 by 2 because
Multiply 7 by 2 because it compounds twice a year.
and then divide
4.5 divided by 2, because you'll get 2.25%, or 2.25% per semi-annual period. So since it's compounding twice a year, this is going to be divided by 2. This is going to be multiplied by 2. So, calculate it. Anybody?
8192.90.
You got it. $8,192.90.
Somehow I lost this.
Okay. What number did you get?
I ended up with 1.29.
Okay. Go back, clear the registers. Put in 6,000 with a negative sign for present value. Put in 4.5 divided by 2 equals, push the equal sign, and whatever's showing, push IY.
Okay.
Put in 7 times 2 equals, and whatever's showing, 14, press in. Now you got all your data in there, press compute future value.
Okay.
Okay, good, good.
I think what I was doing was forgetting to pick the equal sign.
Yeah. When we get into more complicated numbers down here, the easiest way to do it is whatever divided by whatever equals, and then hit the number. A lot of people forget to hit the equal sign. And there we go. It's going to be very helpful to you if you're going to practice some of these things. If you've got 2 or 3 or 4 other people that you can be in touch with on the phone or on Canvas and say, here's the 5 problems we decided to do, here's my answers, what's yours? Are these checking in? This is math. Repetition builds confidence. Okay. Anybody other questions, anything? Let's make it a little bit different then. I've got $5,000 on hand right now. I need $15,000 to take a nice vacation. I want to do it in 3 years. Assuming annual compounding, how long is it going to take me to earn that money?
what's the interest?
I'm sorry, I've got 3 years. What interest rate do I need to earn,
Okay.
sorry, in order to have that money? How do you set that up?
present value is 5,000.
That's right. This is present value.
And your compounding period will be the 3 years.
Good. N is going to be 3 because it's annual compounding.
And your present value, I'm sorry, your future value is gonna be 15,000.
Future value is 15,000. Now, what's missing so far? I mean, other than interest rate, what did I not put up here? This number or this number, doesn't matter which one, has got to be a negative. Otherwise, you get error 5. Okay? So it doesn't matter which one you use. And then you're going to calculate I and Y. So let's all do that just for a second. Don't forget to clear the registers. It may seem like a little bit of a big number.
Yeah, it's 44.22.
44.22%.
All right.
Because you're doing this in 3 years. That's not very much time. Okay so far? Everybody
As
come?
bad as I thought it was.
I'm sorry?
It's no wasn't as bad as I thought it was once you actually put in the, the calculator on how to put it.
Once you do this, and like I said, there's 2 sheets of sample problems. Once you get used to doing these, it's really kind of fun. In a twisted sort of way.
Yeah, what's the difference between that and the different calculators? You have to remember the formula, like P equals E times
In that one you
T.
do? With your calculator you do?
No, you have to memorize that formula and know how to put it in.
If you had a regular calculator.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, oh yeah. I just can't imagine anybody not carrying around a financial calculator if you're ever going to do these kind of things. Because for $15 it's on your phone for life.
I got 44.225.
That's good. That's close. You get 44, we're good.
Yeah, I was going to say the numbers change dramatically if you just enter it in a little bit wrong, so the rounding isn't that big of a deal.
Yeah, the rounding's not much of a big deal. Let's try 1 or 2 others here.
Let's go. I understand pretty good.
Stay in touch.
I will.
All right. Very quickly, if I had $5,000 and I could earn 15% interest, how long would it take me to have $20,000 compounded annually?
It's 6 years, so.
I got error 1 that time. Wonder what I did wrong. It would take me, this is present value, I made that a negative. This is IY. This is future value. I computed in, and I got, 9.92 years. Everybody tracking with that? Doing okay? You get it?
I keep missing something. I'm missing putting in when I'm doing my calculations.
Clear the TV in. Now put it in. -5,000 for present value. 20,000 for future value. 15 for IY. Compute in.
Does it matter which series you put it in? Do you have to put it in like PV?
And put them in any order. Okay?
Do you only want to 2 decimal places?
Yeah,
on
that's
everything?
enough. On the exam, I will ask you to show me how you set it up, as well as your answer. And if, for example, you set it up exactly right, and then apparently you did something squirrely and got the wrong answer, you still get a lot of credit for it. Okay? How is it doing so far?
By showing you how we set it up, what do you mean?
You show me, I said PV
That-
for negative this, dot,
Okay.
dot, 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 and I got, and your answer comes up 4.12. But you still gonna get about 90% credit on that answer, because you were setting it up properly.
Okay.
We all make mistakes pushing buttons. Okay, doing all right? What we've been playing with so far is one sum of money going to another sum, what we call lump sum calculations. So much here ends up so much there. The second half of this discussion, and the calculations, is called annuities. Annuity just means a regular payment. A regular payment. So the key on there, or the button called PMT is payment. We're going to be using that now. So here's an example. If you get $500 a month, you put it in the bank earning 7%, and you continue to receive these payments, how much will you have in 5 years? Annual compounding.
It's $500 a month.
500 a month. Now there's a trick there. 7% is what? An annual rate. But you've got to convert everything to a monthly rate. So you will get 1/12 of 7%. So your interest rate is going to be divided by 12. And how many of these payments are you going to get?
12. In 1 year, or for the
Total.
12, 24, 36, 48, 50, 60.
60. You're going to get 60 payments. So 5 years times 12 is 60. See what I did? When they give you monthly stuff, you got to convert everything else to a monthly basis. So this is my payment. And again, I'm going to make that a negative number, because either the payment or the future value has got to be negative. This is going to be N. Nope, that's going to be I. Sorry. By the time to push them buttons. Anybody?
What are we computing for?
How much money will I have at the end of 5 years if I keep getting 5? How much money cash? Don't even count interest. How much money cash is going to be paid to me?
$30,000.
$500 a month, 60 times. 30,000. I'm going to get $30,000 in payments, but it's going to start earning interest from that first payment. So my value at the end of this, what do we say, 5 years, is going to be $30,000 plus the interest. So if your answer comes up $432,000, you probably got a mistake. You ain't going to make that much interest. What's the total?
35,796.45.
$35,796.45 is my future value. How are we doing with that?
would work the same way if you considered it 6,000 a year rather than 500 a month, because you still compound it annually, right?
No, but you'll get a different number. Because the interest you earn on that $500 for that first month, you're compounding
Oh,
on
right.
that into the future.
Gotcha, right,
I think I've got a poster I got somewhere on Facebook. Supposedly Einstein said, the most powerful force on earth is compound interest. This is the thing that escapes many people when they're just starting their careers and they're just saying, I need to save money, but I really can't. Every time you save $1, it spends the rest of eternity working for you with no effort on your part. It keeps earning interest.
That's $$35,759.
Okay?
So that, because I
How many
did-
decimals are you using?
Annually or monthly?
2.
2? How many decimals are you using?
2.
Okay, I'm using 4. And sometimes in using 4, there's a little rounding difference. If you got 759, you're good. No problem. Anybody else? How do we twist this one around? Suppose I said, in 20 years, I want to have $250,000. I can earn interest at 4%. How much do I need to put in my savings account each month?
Compounded annually?
No. If it says monthly, then you got to move everything back to a monthly basis. So what's in?
20. Oh, sorry, 240?
It's 20 years, but 12 times every year, monthly. So in is 20 times 12, 240. What does 250,000 represent?
The future
It's a
value.
future value. I'm going to make that a negative. How much interest am I going to make each month? 4 divided by 12. Then I'm going to calculate what? No, not present value.
Payment.
Payment, because I'm doing it monthly. Good. Calculate the payment. So let's set that up and churn through it, see if we get some agreement.
I got $684.68.
684.68.
That's correct. Evidently it's not right, there's a road right there.
I got 681.
Yeah, I got 681.62.
681.62.
Yeah, 681.62. So there's a small difference in there. I'm not sure how to explain it just yet.
Because I got my interest, when I did 4 divided by 12, I got .33.
Okay, I got .3333 because I'm using 4 decimals. That's probably the difference.
I got .33.
I don't know then. But it's close enough that it's gonna be okay. Anybody else, questions? Anybody else, questions on how we did that? Going once. Going twice. No problem.
There actually is TVN on
On the calculator.
I'm not sure how to input it, I'll look it up later, but
Okay. I'm going to retire when I get to be 70 years old. And I expect to live till I'm 92. I want to have a retirement account that pays me $3,000 a month over my retirement. I figure the money that's going to be in the bank can be earning me, 4% per year, compounded annually. I'm sorry, it's not compounded annually. This thing is talking about a monthly basis, so 4% is the annual rate, but it's compounded monthly. How much money do I need? To afford that retirement? How do you set that up?
N would be 264.
Well,
22
N's going to be 22 years,
times 12.
once a month, so 12 times. So 12 times 22.
264.
Yep, sorry. 264 is N. Everybody okay with that part? If I get ahead of you, wave at me and tell me to slow down. I'm not trying to rush you. Everybody see how we got 264 for N? 22 years, 12 times a year. What's $3,000?
That's the,
That's my payment to myself. What's my interest rate going to be in my calculation?
4 divided by 12.
An annual rate on a monthly basis. 4 divided by 12 is IY. And what am I going to calculate?
Future value.
Oh,
I'm going to calculate present value, what I need at that point in time, at that present, to allow the future. It's a significant distinction. That part's a little hazy. Let's knock the numbers out real quick.
$526,148.68.
Present value. Check your numbers and let me know if you got some differences.
Yeah, I got 528, 136.
That's close enough.
That's what I got.
528.
So that's the number that when you die at 92, you'd have 0.
Yes. If that was in the bank and I pulled out $3,000 a month and I lived exactly 264 months, I would have depleted that down to 0. Very well said.
So you got nothing left.
Nothing left.
that's the way to do it.
Screw the kids on spending their inheritance. Okay, so far? If that was my plan, and today I'm 25 years old, still assuming a 4% rate, how much money do I need to be putting in the bank every month in order to have that retirement?
So that would turn into your future value?
Perfect. I want a future value of 526,148. How much time do I have to build that?
45 years.
I have from age 25 until age 70.
Okay.
So I have 45 years, but I'm going to be making monthly deposits to my IRA and my 401k, so I'm going to say once a month. What else?
4% divided by 12.
I'm going to earn 4%, but it's on a monthly basis. So calculate
The payment.
payment. I'll edit this wait period out of the video.
700?
Hmm?
I was just guessing.
700 what?
Per month that you put in? I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Oh, your calculator, you're not using the
Well, I'm
calculator?
not sure how to input it in.
I see, I see.
I'll look that up later.
348. 348, 56.
348.56.
It's a lot less.
Well,
When you
not having a
Take
calculator,
interest.
that wasn't a bad guess. Everybody okay with 348.56 every month I need to be depositing? Okay? And this might not be my complete retirement. I might have some pension coming, I might have some other systems, some other retirement investments, maybe rental property that I'm managing, something like that. This might be in addition to that, plus my Social Security, and I'd be planning out my retirement. How are we doing so far? What we've got on the board right now then is what I call the retirement problem. You're 25 today, you're going to live to be 92. You're going to retire at 70. Here's the interest rate. You want to be able to retire on $3,000 a month. What do you got to do starting today? Guess what? That's going to be on the test. So set up your own, share it with 3 or 4 people, check your answers to be sure you're all getting consistent answers. Do that 10 times, and this is a gift. Okay so far? Now, there are a number of other variations on these problems in the sample problems on Canvas. But the answers are also there. So I would tell you that between now and next week, you probably need to invest a little time going through those problems and making sure you're comfortable with solving them. Let me make one other sort of announcement, at least on my behalf. Professor Williams and Professor Gunn are first-rate excellent, and they're probably responding to a lot of your questions. My schedule this term, I normally would teach 5 classes. This term I'm teaching 8, plus I have 3 other sections of management that I'm trying to help, answer emails and stuff on too. On Mondays and Wednesdays, I'm a dead man. I teach here in the mornings, I teach in Keystone in the afternoons, and every other week I'm in this class, and every other week I'm in my Monday night strategy class. Mondays and Wednesdays I'm incommunicado. Tuesday, I'm either thinking about getting drunk or I'm hungover because it's a rough term. But Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday is kind of tough for me to respond sometimes. But Thursdays and Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays, I try to check email at least once, maybe twice a day. And if you get some questions on this, let me know. I teach this part of the course with the financial calculator, and if you get questions on that, I'm very comfortable if you ask me, because I'm the one designing the questions for the exam. Okay? Cool. What are your other questions or comments, anybody?
What would be you said come by your office and pick up the personality packets. What would be a good time to come by?
If you will email me and tell me when you're going to be there. Today is Thursday, tomorrow. No, today better be Wednesday or I'm in the wrong place. Just a moment, I'm trying to remember what I've got to do tomorrow. I will be into my office by 11 tomorrow at the latest. So
That's
anytime
an 8,
after
right?
11, if you've emailed me, it'll be sitting in a folder with your name on it, ready for you to pick up. If by chance you stop by and my secretary's not there, ask any faculty member to look in Strickland's folder and see if there's not something with your name on it. Okay?
What A?
Office is in A31. I wish I could do this for you online, but it's a transfer through NCR paper. Now the other option is if you can't get in to get that and you don't want to mail me and get me to mail you one back, go online and look under the disk profile. There are a number of sites that offer you an abbreviated form of the profile, and at least use that and get a rough sense of your particular personality style. That won't give you the graphs I'd really like to see, that I'd like you to see, and it may not give you a lot of discussion, although it may, but at least it gives you a little bit of a handle. Then read the document that my wife and I wrote, and so you understand the different styles. And then for goodness sake, if you got questions on the disk profile, communicate with me. Okay? You've taken it?
I took it, I got mixed up on my time when the day you were doing it, so I came in real late. But I did do it. I just had some questions about the charting because I missed that.
Okay. You got it with you?
No,
Okay.
and I realized I switched backpacks and left it in my other backpack.
If it's convenient to scan that and send me what you have so far, we can chat about it. Or if you can come by the office sometime, we can chat about it, whatever, you know. I know everybody's schedules are...
I just got a job, so...
Oh, you don't want to jeopardize that. So, yeah, scan me the stuff if you can.
Okay.
Most what I need is the numbers, not the graphs.
Oh, okay.
If you can show me the numbers and they all add up to 24 or whatever they're supposed to do, I can plot the graph on my own, and then we can chat about it.
Okay. That's what I'll do. I'll scan it.
Good. I got to tell you, that disk profile, I think that's one of the neatest things I've ever learned. And of course, I've taught my wife about it. She and I now teach it together. And we'll go into Walmart. We'll talk about people in terms of, I wonder what profile that is. I don't know what kind of guy that is. I know for sure. I had a young lady in the program, in the OM program, come in the other day and talk about her boss. And she was describing him, and she hadn't taken the profile yet. And I'm trying to keep my mouth shut, because I know exactly what he is. I know exactly how you need to behave with this guy. So take the profile, study it close, and then come back and let's talk about how to structure your relationship with him so it's a little smoother.
I need to come talk to you, definitely.
I've used the DISC profile for managing children, talking to people about the children, for relationship counseling. I occasionally perform marriage, and where I can, I try to get the couple to sit down with me and go through that, as well as those 5 love languages, that book. I think it's one of the most useful things. It is not perfect, it is not complete, it doesn't describe everything of who you are, but it's one perspective on it that I found very, very helpful. What else? Do you think you got enough handle on this calculator to go home and do all those problems?
I got one question about that. All right, so one of the questions will be a retirement question. What's the other calculated question?
You'll have to look at those sample problems and see what they are, because I'll go right to that when I'm ready to make it up, and I'll be making it up tomorrow. And I'll go straight to those sample questions and say, I bet I could do that and just tweak it a little bit. Here you go. So if you can do them all, you're in good shape.
Yeah.
Or most of them. And you're going to see the same kind of stuff on the financial calculator. You'll see it again on the final. So get it down now and get it right. Because we'll add a few different calculations, not so much financial, in time value money, but things like break even, you know. If you've got an assisted living facility, you've got 50 beds, you got this much for costs, how much do you have to charge for each bed in order to keep that business alive? Those are straightforward calculations we all ought to be able to do. Anything else?
For questions that we may have a group that is stumped on, we can't decide between us which of two answers it is. We know, obviously, that you're not giving us the answers.
True.
Is there any way that we can get with you for further insight?
You
on
can
those
certainly
questions?
discuss it with me.
Okay,
I'll be very careful not to give you the answer.
right.
But we'll talk. In fact, I wish we were doing more of that in the class right now, because there would be a lot of good discussion points as
I
well
have
as
3
clarifying.
questions we could discuss.
Let's do one anyway.
One,
Shoot, tell me.
I will give you one. Number, I think the best one was number 83.
Number 83. I remember number 83. I memorized all 2.
On bank. Yes. This is the one that is, a sports equipment company has been accused of hiding the fact that several of its products have been responsible for injuring players that use them. And it still will not release full information. The managers of this company are not exhibiting which of Hodgkin's general moral principles.
Okay. What are your choices?
All of the choices are the ones we're debating between.
All 4 of them. Are they all 4
5
from
of them.
Hodgkin's list?
They are not. Well, I think 4 of them are, and the 5th one is not, I believe.
So we throw the 5th one out. That's
Right.
not part of Hodgkin's list.
Right. The remaining ones, I believe, are humaneness, honesty, fairness, and loyalty.
Humaneness? What does humaneness mean?
I don't know, I wrote down the definition of the other 2 we were debating.
Was humaneness?
I would say
What is the Humane Society of America?
to protect,
Protect animals, right? Humaneness is a care for the well-being of others and consideration of that in the way you treat them. Okay?
Looks like the humane part was already happened with products affecting the players.
Yeah, it implies a direct
It's about-
relationship, not a secondary relationship. If I am humane in my treatment of you, then you go out and as a result of whatever we've done, you hurt somebody. I was still humane in what I did with you. I was still humane perhaps in the way I designed the product. It wasn't, you know, to be inhumane is typically a purposeful action. Okay, go ahead.
All right, honesty.
Okay.
Which of that definition, the part that I felt may apply to this situation was speaking and acting should mirror the way things really are.
Okay.
Because they are not coming forth with the information.
One may certainly argue that a lack of honesty is displayed when you refuse to reveal that you're not being, another term for honesty is transparency, openness, okay? So there's a consideration. What are the others?
Another one is fairness.
Fairness. What does fairness typically mean?
They're treating everyone the same.
Treating everyone equitably, fairly, you know, if not identical, at least in accordance with what they've done. Okay?
And then loyalty, and the part of that I felt applied to this situation was keeping the public trust, excellence, and quality of work, reliability.
That's I see where you're really splitting hairs on this question. I think when I think in terms of loyalty, I think in terms of first-person contact, as opposed to my duty to society. I don't construe, personally now, I don't construe that in terms of the term loyalty as much as maybe integrity. And so we're into semantics.
Yeah, the societal
Yeah, yeah.
perspective of it.
So I've not answered your question,
No,
but I've dropped a hint or 2.
yes.
Okay. I'll be sure to go home and look that up and see what the answer is when I get home. All right.
Okay.
What that just illustrates for everybody particularly the people that don't come to class. These questions aren't simple, look them up in the book, be done with it. Successful students in the past, there have been 8 or 10 or 12 of them in a group. Everybody, you'd have at least 2 people looking up every answer and at least 1 person checking their answer to make sure there was consensus on it. And if you do that, you'll still miss a couple of them on the exam because they are really fine. My game and my purpose in these questions is to make you look at that material very, very closely and consider it. So if you are out there and you're thinking, well, I've got a week, I'll have to go through those 200 questions, I'll see you next term because this course will be offered because you're not going to make it through that test. Okay? I appreciate the ability to illustrate that point. Okay? Do you want to take time for another one? Or?
I'm good with it.
One more? One more. Let's try one more.
Okay, number 34.
Number 34.
Of Bank 2.
Of Bank 2.
Okay. Is the goal to improve the quality of customer service by instituting follow-up telephone calls this month is not a SMART goal because it is. The choices are unlikely to align with higher level goals,
Okay.
not measurable, too simplistic, not results oriented, unlikely to result in improvement to customer service.
Can you eliminate any answers a priori, right off the bat? I think you can eliminate the last one. I'll say that right out loud. If you, if you're not improving the customer experience with your follow-up calls, you're doing your follow-up calls real wrong. Okay? Now, what are SMART goals? What does SMART stand for?
Intelligent?
Measurable,
It's an acronym, S-M-A-R-T.
Oh, okay.
Specific,
Specific? What does specific mean?
in other words, you can pinpoint it.
Focused.
Yeah, if I say my goal is to get a degree, that's not a specific goal. It doesn't tell me what degree, from what school, and when.
I think you just answered the question. It's too simplistic. It's too wide. I'm just going to get a degree. But you, as you just said, it has to be specific.
Yes.
It has to be measurable.
Measurable. It has to have yes or no, you did it. Not, well, I sort of kind of did it sometimes once in a while. What else? What's A stand for? Actionable. You actually do something instead of sitting around talking about it, drinking a beer, thinking about it. Boy, that's a challenge for an awful lot of people I know. Is follow-up calls actionable? You damn skippy. I come back to you and say, how many follow-up calls you do today? Did you do it or not? What's R?
Results oriented.
Results oriented. Are there, in fact, defined results that are going to be coming forth from this follow-up process? I didn't hear any. What's the T?
Target dates.
Target dates or time bound. Is there a deadline on when this will be accomplished? So you have to ask which of those suits the particular question. Say the question to me one more time.
The goal to improve the quality of customer service by instituting follow-up telephone calls this month is not a SMART goal because it is
Okay. And then it says not, or
only 2 knots.
only 2 knots. What are they?
Not measurable, not results oriented. Are we down, are those 2 answers back to splitting hairs again?
In a sense.
What
It
sense
says
do
not
you take?
actionable and not measurable. Were those the knots?
Not measurable and not results oriented.
Not results oriented. Can we measure
We don't know.
follow-up calls?
I guess there are ways that you could, but that's
How many did
not-
you make?
That's not in here.
If I say you will make 10 follow-up calls at the conclusion of work every day, that's very measurable.
How many
It's harder to
respond
measure the results of them.
I'm sorry?
It's harder to measure the results of them.
Thank you. I didn't say that. Okay? Those are good conversations to talk about this kind of questions. Okay?
Yes.
While we didn't spend any time doing that for this midterm, much to my regret, if you want to get started on those questions for the final exam early and bring that kind of stuff to class, I think it'd be very beneficial. Okay? Anything else? One last warning. The Alachua County Sheriff patrols 23rd and 39th actively out here in the evenings. Do not speed.
Oh, yeah, I've been seeing sometimes when I leave, I had somebody when I was coming in.
Don't even wave at them, because they'll think you're flipping them off, okay? All right, take care. I'll see you a week from tonight, 5:30, is that right? Didn't say 5, right? It said 5:30?
But it says
In
in P
It says
P260 or?
Yeah, here's what's happening. Next week, we're in P 160 and 260, because we got so many students. We're gonna have 2 classrooms. Just report to either classroom. Come on in, sit down and be comfortable. Bring your Scantron and some writing paper and a pen and pencil and a calculator.
Is that the same room that your micro exam
Yes.
first?
Yeah, 160 and 260 straight above it. Okay?
Because I remember
Thanks.
last